Hey, we're back on Energy Matters Live. It's great to be back in the studio, Casey. A lot of stuff happening out in our country. The Texas thing is now behind us. A lot of people got
Thankfully.
fired.
Yeah.
I saw where their Public Utility Commission head resigned. I think the top four members of ERCOT resigned. So there was a lot of fallout. But today I think we want to talk in this segment about the top five trends in utilities. Kind of set this up for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a report that our friends over at Apogee put out, Joel Gilbert and Jim Malcolm, among others, who have been on the show before. And they're looking at the top five trends in customer engagement. And, Tim, we thought this would be a good thing to cover for our listeners because I run a study on customer engagement for utilities. You regulate a utility here in the state of Georgia. And so let's kind of poke at these and see what they're thinking and whether that jibes with what we're thinking. Tim, go ahead.
Casey, decarbonization is their number
right.
one. And I tell you, I'm hearing this everywhere I go. In Georgia, not as much, but when you talk to people from California and Germany, and I consider those kind of trendsetters in the energy world, they're all about decarbonizing their transportation system now.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be the driver for all of this electric vehicle stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And really, when you think about decarbonization, it's this broader thing, right? It's about taking carbon out of whatever's it's being used for producing energy, transport, industrial uses. And what the Apogee folks are saying is essentially this is something that people and companies are looking to their electric utilities in particular for leadership on. And I completely agree. This is something that we've seen as a trend within the study that I run. And, you think about it, that as people and companies are increasingly concerned about climate change, if their utilities are not helping them provide a solution, then they're going to look somewhere else. And that's a big risk for the energy utilities.
Yeah, I think utilities are wanting to be leading the way on this. We're even seeing Southern Company talk a lot about this. And I just saw a survey that was done, a scientific a poll that was done by the University of Georgia. It's not released yet, so I'm not going to disclose all the results. But both Republicans and Democrats viewed this as an issue. And frankly, I was a little bit surprised about how high the number was for Republicans. And so I am beginning to see that this may be more of a bipartisan issue than I at first had realized.
Yeah, we don't appear to agree on much in this country, but we seem to agree on the necessity of tackling this issue. So number two here in their report is the explosive intersection of personalization and video. And so they're basically saying, look, for utilities, it's about interacting with people in ways that are specific and relevant to them, and that video content is extremely impactful. So what are your thoughts on that, Tim?
Well, we've heard about the selfie vote, right? The importance of reaching folks out there on social media platforms, and there's a bunch of them, with personalized messages with video. And I can tell you, Casey, as I ramp up for my reelection next year, that 15-second videos on social media platforms is going to be one of the things that I spend the most money on. I think it's just the way that we've got to communicate with people now. And I think utilities are realizing, wait a second, we want to engage with our customers. We want to educate them. We want them to see that we're doing the things that they're expecting us to do, but we also have a lot of new products and a lot of new opportunity. And we're going to help them see this through a video and through personalizing content.
Yeah, it's interesting. You think about communicating, and you want it to be relevant to people, right? And one of the examples that I use all the time with my clients is most utilities have some sort of an appliance recycling program. Well, most people replace their appliances every 7 years or so. So if you're communicating with me and I'm not replacing my appliance, that's wasted money. It's wasted effort. It doesn't matter to me, right? So really understanding what's relevant to folks is really helpful. And video allows you to convey things that you can't otherwise, just like you're saying. And it sounds like, Tim, you're going to be the TikTok commissioner. Is that right? 15-second videos?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm going to have to be the TikTok commissioner. I mean, I wish that I was younger and that my face was younger and that maybe I looked like I did back when I was in my 20s instead of at my age, because I really have the face for radio. Why are we even doing this on video, Casey? Because we got to reach people, right?
That's right. Tim, you just need to find the cat filter and you'll be fine. All right. So the next trend here that they've got is aligning rates with costs and carbon. And Tim, I suspect you know quite a bit more about this than I do, given your role in helping set Georgia Power's rate. But I've got some thoughts on this too. But let me let you go first on this one.
Well, certainly low rates never go out of style. And folks, they want reliability first and foremost. And I think Texas showed us how important that was. I mean, as long as there's no crisis, I think everybody's happy to be aspiring for their favorite form of energy. But when there's a crisis that happens, an electron is an electron, and they don't really care where it's coming from, I think, for the most part. And so, I mean, but clearly, carbon pricing, I do think there will eventually be a price on carbon. And we look at that when we're making decision about plants. We take a guess. Is it going to, could there be a low price on carbon, medium, high? And we're evaluating these scenarios, Casey. And I think you're going to continue to see us close coal plants in Georgia over the next 10 to 20 years.
So, Tim, here's my take on it. In their paper, the Apogee folks really are advocating for the adoption of time of use rates or demand rates. And we've talked about these on the show before. And both you and I, have used time of use rates. They spend almost a third of the report talking about why this is important. And Tim, you're a politician. What does it mean when you're explaining in politics?
Yeah, it means that you really haven't got people with you yet, and you are possibly going to be confusing people. And any surprise that time of use rates are confusing? I mean,
yeah, exactly right. And this is where I think they're totally off base, right? I mean, yes, time of use rates are great for certain segments of energy geeks like you and me who know how to use them. But I think for most people, and you even see this with cell phones, right? Cell phones used to be on the, time of use per minute, peak period, even before that, landlines, people wouldn't call until the weekends because you'd have that peak. People didn't like it and it was confusing. And so everyone's moved to this flat rate, right? You pay $70 a month for your cell phone or whatever it is, right? And you get unlimited talk and text. So I really think that the future here is not time of use or demand rates, at least on the residential side, but really in utilities figuring out how do they price to incorporate things that people value, whether it's reliability, like you were talking about, right? Everyone wants the power to stay on, or whether it's, decarbonized electricity we talked about in the first trend. They really need to figure that model out rather than a volumetric time of use, a demand rate, again, at least for residential customers, because it's just confusing for most folks.
Yeah, I would love for people to care more about time of use rates, but I have beat my head against the table trying to get people to try it. And there's a segment that will.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know what? Let's work with them. Let's add to it. But we can't build a whole system around that group.
Totally agreed. All right, so let's move on to the next one here, which is Spotlight on Energy Equality. And this is really talking about, as we deal with these things around decarbonization and reliability, how do we make sure that people that have limited means or are low income aren't left behind? And energy, of course, underpins everything that we do in society. And, Tim, you mentioned this before. big focus for you at the commission around low rates. And how do you and your fellow commissioners think about this idea of energy equality and equity as you're looking at rates?
Casey, there's so many variables to affordability, right? How big's your house? How big is your house? How energy efficient is your house? What is your income? Are you on prepay? Is there assistance programs that we can help you with to make your house more efficient in order to lower your energy bill? I mean, there are so many things. I just don't think there's a magic wand on this, Casey, in terms of getting everyone straight. In terms of affordability, I think we've really got to work on improving the housing stock out there and making all houses as energy efficient as possible. If that means changing building codes, if that means providing more opportunities like for the pay as you save program, I think we got to come up with creative ways. There is no one single thing to make this work.
That makes a lot of sense to me. All right, so the last one here as we wrap up this segment is big data produces big results. And this is kind of the idea that, utilities have a lot of meter data, they've got a lot of customer data, and it's how do you apply that? And, my company has done a lot of this work over the years. And even recently as utilities have had these shutoff moratoriums and are dealing with customers who are in arrears, we're working with big data with our clients to figure out who is it that's likely to fall behind in their payments, and how can our clients, the utilities, connect them with energy assistance programs, energy efficiency programs, things like that can help them and not let them get behind.
Yeah, well, that's going to do it for us today. Just catch more of what Casey's talking about, all 5 of these trends at apogee.net, apogee.net. And thanks for listening to Energy Matters today. Have a great day, everyone.